Strap yourselves in, everyone, and prepare yourselves for the biggest, most fiercest, most disgusting trauma dump the likes of which you've never felt as uncomfortable sitting through before. So I've just been living in Japan, vibing, doing all different kinds of things, you know, living my best life. And then suddenly, one day, I get an offer to do a video on an eroge called Inyochu, which is short for insects of insemination. And I thought, I never really did a video talking about really insects in eroge before, and this is the first time I've ever heard of an eroge kind of talking about insects, so I thought it could be an interesting thing. So I hastily agreed to do the video and got to work. And by work, I actually meant playing the game. And before anything, no doubt Euphoria has corrupted me. No doubt Megan Bates has ruled my life. My heart is stone. I looked into the abyss and I Frenched that motherfucker until it was my bitch. But then I started to realize, after playing the game, maybe I was the bitch all along, because I have been corrupted in a way I didn't even know was possible anymore. You don't just play Euphoria and Megan Bates and live like you did before you played it. You become a harder person. Nothing shocks you anymore. I had a type of PTSD staring into space where everybody who looked at me knew what I was experiencing and knew what I was thinking about, because it was a war. Playing those games is our own type of war. It's a mental war we never overcome, no matter how much therapy we get. And then Inyochu decided to make an appearance in my life and remind me, you're not strong. You think you've seen it all? You think you've experienced it all? Well,
Think again, you stupid!
the title is very misleading, right? It has insects insemination. You think insects, right? No, somehow this game is worse. Are you listening to the words I'm saying? Somehow this game's premise is worse than anime girls f***ing insects. Think about that, because Inyochu has the content of the likes that would make Metamorphosis look at it and blush. I'm talking about deformed vaginas. I'm talking about guzzling with puke in a bottle, and that those three are just to name a very, 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 very few aspects that the game has showed me. Just those very, very, very graphic few. Because this is just the beginning and I need to go into detail. Because I think we all thought I talked about everything that was kind of shocking or surprising that's out there. I think we all thought it's kind of nothing really surprises me or us anymore that I could talk about that YouTube would allow. Well, you're hearing it here first, folks. Unless YouTube age restricts it, then maybe you're hearing it here second or third. But today, we are going to be talking about things none of us never knew existed. Probably would be better off not knowing existed. And that's contained within the trials and tribulations that is the eroge called Inyochu. And this video is sponsored by Jast. Thank you, Jast, for sponsoring me to play this game. Jast is an English visual novel website that has not just this game on it, but a variety of others. Although this game is an adult game in eroge, they also have all age versions of other games, as well as a variety of other genres to look through. In my description of this video, you will find a link to a tweet that you can access to buy or look at this game if you are curious at any point. I cannot link to it directly from YouTube because YouTube does not like links to things that are of this nature, or you can just go to Jast yourselves and look it up. Either way, I urge you to go there and support. And now, let us begin our tale of Inyochu. Now, the story to Inyochu is very simple. It's a very basic story. The eroge begins with a girl who's just getting fucked out of her mind, just covered, just absolutely swimming in jizz. I'm not even exaggerating it. I'm pretty sure you could see her paddle a little bit in the picture. And then after that, we actually get the real introduction to the game. We play as a girl named Mikoto, who is a part of a demon fighting agency. Alongside her in this demon hunting agency is her more mature twin sister called Takeru and her male childhood friend named Yamato. So the demon hunting agency is constantly in the red because Mikoto and Yamato are the ones who are doing the fighting, and usually they break public property. They either destroy buildings or just destroy, you know, like parks and stuff, and they have to pay, you know, to get it fixed. So in order to make up for some of their losses, they get an offer to remove some ghosts from a nearby school. And Takeru, who kind of specializes in removing more paranormal things, takes the offer and just is like, I'll just do this by myself. You guys, like, chill out. However, after she goes to the school to complete her job, she doesn't come back for a few days, and Mikoto and Yamato are like freaking the hell out. So together with Yamato, we go to the school to look into whatever happened to Takeru. There, Mikoto and Yamato will encounter many different demons. Many different kinds of things. Now let's talk characters. I am a sucker for tsunderes. That is not a hidden fact about me. I have shouted that from the top of my lungs. I'm pretty sure I've always shouted it from the moment I was even born. So I really enjoy our female lead, Mikoto. However, her route is really just kind of the main storyline route, so you don't really get much, with her. However, if you are an uncultured swine and do not like tsunderes, there are other options and other routes to go down. Like, for instance, Takeru, who gives a more adult, calm, older sister vibe, even though she's a younger sister. You might remember her from the very beginning of the game, like right when you press start, the very goddamn moment. She's the girl doing a doggy paddle in a puddle of semen. Honestly, all jokes aside, I do think her route is worth taking because otherwise, you don't really see her much in the game because most of the game you're trying to find her. But you have to ready yourself because her bad endings are a lot like her older sister Mikoto's. Very tragic and very disheartening. So seeing her slowly be going insane from being forced to give birth to a bunch of demons through every hole of her body and just hearing her screams. I mean, all the voice actresses, I still hear their screams echoing in my ears even as I lay awake at night trying to sleep, but I can't because I'm just thinking about their screams. Not in the mood for a cold glasses type? Don't worry, I have another icon. The kawaii I'm so sorry, girl. Sui! Now, Sui's a girl that first joins in this game, and we find her by going to the school and bumping into her, and she's just like, oh my god, Yamato? For some reason, she remembers Yamato from when they were kids. They were childhood friends, even though they haven't seen each other in like 10 years. So it's kind of weird how you can still remember, you can what somebody looks like 10 years later, I don't know. And it becomes obvious as she sticks to our characters and as the game goes on that she has a massive crush on Yamato, but she's too shy to say anything. She is so silly. Like one time, for some random reason I can't quite remember the context of, she decides to show Yamato and Mikoto her school swimsuit. However, even though she's worn this swimsuit a million times before, she finds out it's too tight and her massive fucking tits pop out of them. Now Mikoto and Yamato are like, oh my god, whoa. And well, Yamato's just like, oh my god, loving it. But she's like, oh girl, I'm so embarrassed. You would 100% be thinking she's the fan service character. And you are correct. She is the big boobed, shy fan service character. However, she is more than that in the game because we find out that she has very strong spiritual abilities that actually end up helping trying to find Takeru. So we keep her around when she's not accidentally falling down and flashing her panties. But let me talk about one of the bad endings. I'm not spoiling anything because there's so many again. And that bad ending is when Sui is drowning in her own breast milk. I'm not exaggerating when I say drowning. She's actually like, she's drowning. She can't breathe. And she is giving birth through her belly button to a bunch of demons that are like leeches. Like leeches. She's giving birth to a bunch of leeches through her belly button. That's just plot. Now there are some other hidden characters that you can go on other routes with, but they're not really part of the main story and don't really have much with what I'm talking about or the other main girls. And that is especially the fact when the comedy starts happening between the girls and Yamato. The comedy isn't often in this game, but when it does happen, it is a nice change of pace. It is like a breath mint inside of an intestinal stew. Like for instance, the random charming bit of Sui randomly putting on a swimsuit and her boobs popping out. Like, for what context is this? Like, we're fighting demons here, all right? I also couldn't help but let out a small little giggle when the fighting sequences would happen because it looks so silly. Very early 2000s, it's a nostalgia giggle. And when the comedy does end up happening, it's obvious that the characters all really care about each other. I suppose that's obvious considering that any of the characters in any bad ending kind of go insane and get really depressed when they can't find one another and feel like they didn't save them. I feel like they might care about each other. Either way, it's a nice change of pace compared to all of the horrific situations that you will be witnessing. Besides that, there isn't much depth to the characters. You don't really know much about them besides the basics that they tell you. Like, you don't really get to find out much about them solo-wise. This is just one of the games in a series of games. I'm sure as the games go on, you learn more and more about them as characters. However, if you're looking for an eroge where you get to learn about the girls aspirations or what their biggest fears are, then this probably isn't the eroge that you want to play. However, something tells me if you're playing this eroge, that might not be what you're looking for anyway. Now, this is the main storyline. And it is very, it sounds very traditionally basic, like very, monster hunting typical. Now, after completing the main storyline, you can actually go down other girls' routes and start dating them and have more, of a normal, typical gameplay. And the main storyline actually isn't that long. It only took me about like maybe 2 hours tops to finish the main storyline. Most of this game, if you actually play it thoroughly, it's much longer than that because there are many, 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 many bad endings. So the endings, okay, that's where the trouble begins, really. If you somehow go through the entire game without looking at a walkthrough and just focus on the girls and getting a good ending, you're gonna have a fine time. But if you get one wrong answer, you're not gonna have the greatest time of your life. Because I got a little bit cocky. After the first time I got one bad ending, I had to take a break. I actually had to sit down and lay in my bed for a while. And that ending was one that really made me ill. So it starts out silly, Mikoto gets in an argument with Yamato and I chose one wrong answer. And then Mikoto starts having sex with another male character in the game that briefly shows up called Misaki. And Mikoto starts to slowly fall in love with Misaki. And here I am thinking like, oh my god, what is this actually like? And it'll tell me, what if we actually just get to like choose guys? But then we find out Misaki is actually an imp and he's a demon. What? However, one day Mikoto and Misaki are outside in public having sex and she's naked and he decides to just kind of like leave her outside and Mikoto's like pissed off. And then she sees like a group of guys and then she starts banging these other guys and they're like, okay, come with us. And she's like, we have the choice of going with them or not going with them. I went with them. Suddenly we go into a deep storyline of Mikoto becoming a porn star. They end up recording videos of the guys and Mikoto having sex. She becomes a cam girl. All day, every day, she wakes up and she just wants to have sex. She wants to have sex because she is depressed that her life became this way. She followed these guys. She gave up trying to find her twin sister that went missing at this school. She was abandoned by Misaki, her only love. She has nobody. And the acts that these guys do on her is deplorable. Not the worst in the game, which is saying something, but it's not great. So after having unprotected sex with a variety of males every day for I think about a year, she said, she becomes pregnant, obviously. During the recording of one of them, she gives birth. She gives birth on a public bathroom floor. It is a very graphic birth, okay? It does not hold back any of the details regarding that. Now, Metamorphosis was already a pretty tough read. All of us know that. We've endured. But seeing it like that in a game, seeing like the crying and like the whole thing and then she just like, she gets killed and she dies and then it's just like, it's a tough watch, guys. It is something you don't know you're signing up for until it's over. And then it's over and you stare at the screen and you don't know where to go from here. God. And the worst part about that is, this was probably one of the most tamest endings that there was. Because there is a lot of birthing. And there is a lot of prolapsed uteruses. And in fact, I think in every ending, there is a prolapsed uterus. And there is a lot of poop. A lot of poop. But there is way too much jugs of semen being gulped down, which made me gag, but made me gag even more and want to throw up in my mouth when there would be scenes of Mikoto chugging the semen in a literally like massive jug, having throw up, and then she has to eat the semen puke. Hold on, guys. I need to just like, I just need to refresh for a second, okay? I just need to like, I just want to be pure again. Now, there was one ending that really got to me. When Mikoto and Yamato get to school, there are demons there, of course, and some of them are very, very strong demons. If you do not win in a fight with a demon, there's an ending where Mikoto gets taken and she is forced to give birth to as many demons as possible. It is through every crevice of the body that she gives birth through them. But the one that bothered me the most in that ending was the belly button birth. Now listen, I may not know every single intricate tag or fetish in the world. In fact, I don't want to. It might be better that way. But belly button birth was something I logistically couldn't think of. Because this is something that in kindergarten you're told babies come for belly buttons. You find out later it's not true. You hate your family. You run away. You don't want to talk to them anymore. And then you find out it was true through Inyochu. And it was incredibly graphic and mortifying. we see Mikoto push out a baby through her coochie, her mouth, and the belly button. It's just suddenly like her stomach becomes so big, and then this creature, this like insect-like creature, tears her in half as it crawls through her belly button. And the details. There's also another thing that I didn't know could exist, and that is something that I'm going to give the label of obese vagina. Because there's another ending where Mikoto's stomach is incredibly engorged. It is just massive. And then for some reason, so is her vagina. Her vagina was at least 3 times bigger than her entire body. I looked at the details of the cooch, and I for the life of me could not wrap my head around it. I wish to God I could show you guys a picture, but YouTube Daddy would never allow it. And I think that's one of the things that people like about Inyochu is the just amount of obscene imagery. Like, how do you even compare, like, what? Like, getting a deformed stomach is incredibly common in this game. Copious, most obnoxious amounts of semen on everything. And for once, instead of titties, it is just a massive cooch. I know I've talked about prolapse uteruses before. I've talked about it because I didn't even know that what could be a tag. I didn't even know that actually happened. So finding out that not only it actually happens, but seeing guys take your uterus and then just put their pee-pee in it or put other stuff in it as it's prolapsed was another image I had to get kind of used to with Inyochu. Now, there's one thing about Inyochu that I actually thought was pretty clever. There is a countdown on the side of when a character is going to ejaculate, which is if you're looking for this game for like just going down the paths of like the normal routes and you want to like go and have like a normal relationship vanilla like sex thing, or if you're a freak who's looking through the bad endings just waiting for when a character is going to be stuffed full of semen to the point where they actually explode. But then the countdown is exactly what you're looking for, because sometimes you don't want to be just suddenly surprised. You want to know what's happening and when it's going to happen and finish. Because sometimes, yeah, you don't want to be surprised suddenly. However, even with the countdown, there was one time where I was still surprised. And that was during the time when a character was having sex with Yamato. He finished inside of her. And then suddenly within that moment when he finished, she was just pregnant. Like instantly 9 months pregnant. In that exact moment when you're thinking like, what? She starts giving birth. She just starts giving birth out of nowhere. Literally just came in here 2 seconds ago. Suddenly she's 9 months pregnant. She's giving birth, which was new, exciting, so good. And listen, none of this would be nearly as something that I could just traumatizing or blah, if it wasn't for the improved artwork, okay? Every single thing, be it the poop, be it the nipples that get impregnated with demon eggs and then just suddenly explode full of babies. All of these deformed acts don't leave you guessing at what you're looking at, because what you see is exactly what it is, baby. Yeah, I would love to see what a massive dick about to rip through my stomach would look like. How French. And the sounds! Oh my god, the fucking sounds! Because if you get to the main storyline, there is one bad ending you can get from the ending of the main storyline. And it's where the main demon king, the darkness or whatever, he puts his arm up all of the girls' cooches and drags out their internal organs. And the sounds of that are akin to the sounds of what kitten eating ASMR is. Graphic and unwarranted. It is the perfect bakery. It is the perfect little mixture of cake and jugs of semen and puke and nipple birth eggs and belly button births with a mixture of sound and artwork to leave you with the right amount of trauma that makes your mouth have that little gritty taste of puke when there is none. It's just your mind saying, don't do this, please. I'm making you feel ill now. And there's so much much I've left out, because I feel like if I've talked about every single thing that this game did that I've never seen before and I don't want to see again, I would be sitting here for hours. There's a lot of fisting. I've never seen in an eroge someone getting fisted so hard that they're essentially become like a puppet. Oh, Pinocchio? Now this game is an alternative version from a game from the early 2000s called Inyochu Ryojoku Taimoroku, and it's a part of the Inyochu Gaiden series. Now, although it is a series, this is the only remake that I know of. I have not played any of this previous game, so I do not know if this is a new feature. Honestly, I doubt it. This seems to be a really big pull for the series. It definitely goes without saying. You can't guess what this eroge has. You're never gonna figure out what's going to happen during any path that you take. Did I think that there was gonna be a cam girl path? No, but look what happened, all right? It is a roller coaster, a tremendous final destination type roller coaster, riding right to your heart and through the hole. I wouldn't put it past it if there was an ending in that game where that exact situation happened. Just a roller coaster right through your heart, through your hole. Because it takes everything a step too close to the edge, and you kind of just want to jump off that edge because you just want this whole thing to be over because you need to be saved. Save me from knowing what nipple birth with demon eggs exploding through your nipples looks like, because there's no going up from here. We're done. This is it. If you too would like to be traumatized once again, then please go check out Jest, where the game is. I'm warning you, I'm trying my best. I think I've gave very little information, but I think it's enough to kind of gauge where everything's going with if you're going through, you know what you don't want to know. Thank you, Jest, for sponsoring for this video. I hope it came across the way that all the details that it needs to be. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm gonna go sit. I'm gonna take a bath. Bye, guys. Goodbye.